and a warm welcome to all our delegates joining us today. We are very glad to see you all gathered here to grace the innovative virtual product launch of new series of CAM units. This is Anuradha Bihade, Assistant Marketing Manager at Fibro India, and takes an immense pleasure to host this event for you today. So let me just brief the agenda about this event. We will begin with some insights of our plant from our Executive Director, Mr. Vivek Nani.
This is what I set up ahead a little bit. So if you had told me a little bit before, I would have. No, why?
Okay, we have some mics on. Just take a minute. Okay, so I'll now be sharing the brief agenda of this event. We will begin with some insights of our plant by our Executive Director, immediately followed by the most anticipated event, that is the virtual product launch. After having the technical brief from Mr. Ramakrishna Idira, we'll then proceed towards the panel discussion. We'll have this virtual roundtable discussion on future of Indian tooling industry with ACE industry leaders present with us today.
Hello.
And then we will sum up this event with short Q&A session with our delegates from the audience. I hope then we can now begin this event. So let us all together begin this Fibro India celebration of Make in India and Make Forward journey. This year has been a year of trying and testing times for all the businesses across globe. Organizations are restructuring and rebuilding their operation models for the survival and also to earn the profits in these challenging times. Digital transformation has taken a way forward, and it has become the epicenter of all the solutions to a problem. This worldwide pandemic has put severe restrictions on one-on-one communications to our customers, which we usually used to have before. So at one end, where social distancing has become a new normal, the other end, these virtual platforms are taking the world by storm. Understanding this need of an hour, Fibro India too is making its presence through various virtual platforms to get in touch with you all. This worldwide pandemic has given us a lot of learning. So we are happy to share that Fibro India team was available to their customers during lockdown also and offering the best possible services to them by adapting this digital era quickly. We conducted various technical webinars for our customers that which led to the educating them about the new products and solutions. We also developed our website, which is equipped with a web shop, that is the web ordering system, making the order placement easy for our Indian customers. Apart from working from home, Fibro India team also focused on acquiring the new skills and upgrading the existing ones. So with these life learnings from COVID-19, on 6th May 2020, we finally resumed our operations with more energy and motivation. Of course, with strict adherence to the COVID safety norms and periodic sanitization inside the plant, we are ensuring the on-time deliveries to our customers since then. These extra efforts put in by the Fibro India team during the lockdown has led to this momentous day today. Virtually launching this indigenous range of CAM units is nothing but another milestone achieved by the Fibro India. So let's hear the success story of localizing these CAM units from none other than our Executive Director, Mr. Vivek Nani himself. Over to you, sir.
I'm happy that more than 500 participants attended these webinars. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to participate in this webinar due to their routine works. During this webinar, we covered the whole range of Fibro products, which otherwise they were not aware of it. And as a result, we started getting inquiries for those products as well. We use this webinar to understand their requirements, their bottlenecks, and as a result, when we opened for operations in the month of May after the lockdown period, for manufacturing activity. Please do come.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just need a moment from you all. Very sorry, there is a technical glitch at playing the video. We would request
Go ahead.
patience in it.
This is the good example of finding opportunity in adversity. In fact, a couple of years back, we started developing aerial cam units for the Indian market. Proud to say that nobody is manufacturing those aerial cam units indigenously. We are the only one to manufacture them. This is the good example of finding opportunity in adversity. In fact, a couple of years back, we started developing aerial cam units for the Indian market. Today, I am proud to say that nobody is manufacturing those aerial cam units indigenously. We are the only one to manufacture them. We started with a small, simple units. We got the feedback from the customers. Even we got the feedback from our principals. I welcome you all for this new unit, which is not only for domestic market, but which will be also exported to the global market. I am happy to share that we will be launching this new aerial cam unit in the hands of Prabha Industries, Bangalore.
They have stopped screen share. Are they able to see the screen?
Are they able to see it?
We will be launching this new aerial cam unit in the hands of Prabha Industries, Bangalore. Cam unit not only for the domestic market, but we will be also exporting globally.
Now can you see the full screen?
Yes, over to you, Anuradha.
Yes, sir. Can we have the insights from the Vivek Naniwadekar itself?
Yes, sir.
I welcome you all for this new innovative product launch. Before we go for the product launch, I would like to give you a background. We did conduct the webinars during this lockdown period. I'm happy to share with you that more than 500 participants attended these webinars. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to participate in this webinar due to their routine works. During this webinar, we covered the whole range of Fibro products, which otherwise they were not aware of it. And as a result, we started getting inquiries for those products as well. We used this webinar to understand their requirements, their bottlenecks. As a result, when we opened our operations in the month of May after the lockdown period, we worked on this, their requirement. And today I am happy to tell you that you will be witnessing the product launch of our new aerial cam unit. Before that, I would like to give you some glimpses of our manufacturing activity. Please do come with us. This is the good example of finding opportunity in adversity. In fact, a couple of years back, we started developing aerial cam units for the Indian market. Today, I am proud to say that nobody is manufacturing those aerial cam units indigenously. We are the only one to manufacture them. We started with a small, simple units. We got the feedback from the customers. Even we got the feedback from our principals. Accordingly, we went on modifying. And now in this last couple of years, our team has got the confidence from design to the manufacturing of this cams, despite this adverse situation and the lockdown conditions. Apart from running the regular production, our team developed and manufactured the new cam unit, which is not only for domestic market, but which will be also exported to the global market. I'm happy to share that we will be launching this new area in the hand of Prabha Industries. This not only domestic market, but we will be also exporting globally.
Over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you so much, Vivek sir, for giving us a sneak peek into Fibro India's manufacturing facilities and capabilities. As you rightly said, finding opportunity in adversity has led Fibro India to this benchmark today. So, now without further delay, let's move to the Prabha Industries premises to unveil our new series of CAM units. Prabha Industries is among, before moving to the actual unveiling of product, let me introduce you to the Prabha Industries. Prabha Industries is among India's premier die shops, specialized in line dies, transfer dies and progressive dies. Located in Bangalore, India, their tool room caters to the stringent quality requirements of OEMs and modern technology expectations of European and North American market. We are glad to have, we are also glad to have the presence of our Executive Director of Prabha Industries, Mr. Vinod Kuber, for our event today. He will also be joining us for the panel discussion ahead. Before moving to the Prabha Industries premises, I would like to request Mr. Vinod Kuber to share the overview of this event and overall product launch. Can we have Mr. Vinod Kuber online?
Hi, thanks Anuradha. Congratulations to the Fibro team on the launch of their new product.
Thank you.
I'm going to just tell a couple of things about my experience with Fibro. We've had an association for quite a while. In the 2000s, we used a lot of Fibro product. And in this past decade, we've had an association with Fibro, the company itself. Meetings or presentations with Fibro tend to be a very good engineering exercise. They're widely enjoyed by our engineers and our designers and stuff. They're not typically very administrative or only commercial in nature. A couple of examples I want to put forth. Fibro understands some of the impact it's had are a couple of presentations. One by Lapley, which was done a couple of years ago. It was a presentation on dyes for skin panels. That really got us thinking, and some things stick in your mind for a long time. That was one such a presentation. Another one that also comes to mind is Fibro brought in Caller, and we had like a interactive session. It started off as a presentation, but before you know it, we were bringing out our projects, showing our designs and stuff like that. It ended up being quite a workshop. And we came out of it benefiting in terms of knowing how to optimize gas springs in our dyes. So we sort of also learned how to reduce costs and still widely use gas springs. So for things like this, I really appreciate Fibro's efforts, and I wish you guys the best on this launch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The feedback from the customers like you has always motivated us and encouraged us to do more. So without any further delay, now straight from the Prabha Industries premises, I humbly request the General Manager of Prabha Industries, Mr. Satish Kamath, to do the honor of unveiling the product and share his thoughts on the newly developed CAM units. Can we move to the Prabha Industries premises, please?
Hello everyone, happy to unveil the new series CAM Pro. As expected, the CAMs are at desired quality level and finish. Be happy with the finish and look forward to the great performance from these CAMs. During my career, I had spent some time in a tool shop in Germany with a commitment to the quality and the punctuality. I adopt and implement some of the practices.
Did you tell? No.
Today, I feel happy. Fibro is expanding its product line by bringing these kind of products in India. Quality and reliability. Differentiating factor is higher working force. And
Over to you, Anuradha.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the Fibro India for launching this new series of CAM units. Can we move to the next slide, please? Delegates, can I have a huge round of applause for the Fibro India team for successful launch of this new series of CAM units? Can we have the round of applause from your end? Thank you so much, everyone. Before moving to the next part, we would like to thank Prabha Industries for placing the first order to us and keeping the faith in us. Special thanks to Mr. B.T. Bopaya for supporting us in making this event live. So now since the new series of CAM units are launched, let's hear the technical advantage of this product from Mr. Ramakrishna Idara, AGM Business Development Standard Parts. Over to you, sir. Can we move to the next slide?
Thank you, Anuradha. And on behalf of Fibro India, I welcome all our customers once again to this product launch. One of a kind of innovative product launch that we have planned. Sorry for the inconvenience during beginning of the event, which is mainly due to the connectivity issues. As Mr. Vivek Nanwadekar mentioned some time ago, yesterday we had a heavy rainfall because of which the networks are not at 100% now, but somehow we are managing now. And it seems better now, the network connectivity. Maitreyi, can you take the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. So through this presentation, I would like to take you through the range of cameras that we have and the cams that we started localizing in India and the advantages to the customer in a very, with some very few slides. So talking about the range of cam offerings we have in Fibro, we have mechanical cam units, roller cam units, punching units which are specifically meant for progressive tools. Then we have hydraulic cams, or we call them flex cam also. So each cam, we have the highest range available in the market. If we take the example of mechanical cams, we have up to 200 working force cams and mounting surfaces up to 1 meter or more. Yeah, and all these are available in angles from 0 to 75 degree. Similarly, we have roller cams where, sometimes with mechanical cams, customer find difficulty to engineer the component. For such applications, we have developed roller slide units as a solution to our customers. Again, in this, we have wide range, similarly in punching and hydraulic cams. Next slide, please. Yeah, next. So, talking about Fibro mechanical cam unit range, we have two varieties of cams to offer to our customers in India. The first one being Fibro DNA range, which means the cams which are exclusively developed by Fibro with the know-how and experience of 60 years in die making. Then we have cam units which are interchangeable with standards available in the market. Mainly in Asia, we have a large of offerings for our customers. Yeah. Next slide. So talking about product range technical specifications, as I said before, we have mounting widths from 50 mm to 1 meter or more. Then all the angles from 0 to 75 degree in increments of 5 degree. Working forces up to 200 ton and retraction forces up to 29 ton is the range that we have in aerial cams. When it comes to die-mounted cams, we have from 52 mm width to 400 mm width and working angles from 0 to 25 degrees, again in increments of 5 degree. And in die mounting cam, we have a highest capacity of 80 ton working force. Yeah. Next. And retraction forces up to 9 ton. Thank you. Next. So that the earlier slide I've talked to you about the standard range that we have in our catalog. Beside this, yeah, can you go back one slide? Maitri? Yeah. So beside the standard catalog cams, we are also into offering of customized cam units. So we are talking about the customized cams, not only when drawings against drawings, customer drawings, but also right from tool development. When you have your component from customers, right from designing stage, we can take the requirements from our customers and offer a solution which stands economic and efficient. So we started doing this for a few years already globally, and we are getting a good response from the customers. And I think shortly we will commence this for our customers in India also. So you can see some of the examples shown on the screen. Yeah, next. Yeah, one is the customization of cams, and second service, additional service that we are offering to our customers is additional machining on the standard cams. Like for example, you might need additional mounting holes, ready to fit condition. So that service also available for all the Fibro range of cam units, yeah, for our customers. Any kind of additional machining on the mounting surface or elsewhere. Next. So that was a very brief introduction about Fibro global range of products. Then, most importantly, we would like to share with you the journey of Fibro India in making cams in India and making for the world. Next. Yeah. Yes, our journey for CAMS started in 2016. We initiated the development of CAMS. Prior to that, we were making components for CAM units for global markets. When I said components for CAMS, that includes CAM V guides and wear plates and other components required in the CAM units. Whereas in 2016, we started making finish assembly CAMs. The initiation of project was in 2016. And in 2017, we came up with a small, tiny cam unit of 52 mm width to start with. Yeah. So ever since the launch, this is one of our fast or hot cake, we can say, in the domestic as well as in export market. So having learned CAMS during 2016 and 17, we have enhanced our product offerings by developing CAM units up to 65 mm width, mounting surface width. In 2019, we started exporting cams also for global markets, including Fibro Germany, Fibro China, Fibro Korea, and elsewhere. Yeah. At the same time, we also expanded our product offering from 65 mm width to 300 mm width. So for past 1 year, we are delivering cams globally up to 300 mm width. Yeah. And now today we have come to a place. We are going to launch a 2016.204 series cam, which is aerial cam, and this is into the premium segment of cams. Yeah. And so far, we sold more than 2,700 cams globally. Thank you. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, so taking glimpse of the new series of cams that we have developed, that is 2016.204 series, some features and advantages I would like to share with you all. Uh, Unfortunately, the animation is not working, but let me explain the features and advantages. We have in this series widths from 50 mm to 150 mm is the width, and these cams are compact compared to the other range of cams that are available. Yeah, and these cams can withstand with a range of 15 ton working force, 15.3 ton working force, and retraction forces up to 1.67 ton. Yeah, and for all these cams above 65 and above widths, gas spring extraction is available as a choice for the customer. Normally in such small cams, generally coil springs are being used for retraction, but with Fibro engineering expertise, we could accommodate gas spring also in these cams, which helps customer to have larger extraction force, which is always an advantage for the customer. As like any other cam, these cams are also designed and tested to perform 1 million strokes or more, yeah, under the standard working forces. Not only this, with making in India, we have advantage of shorter lead time for these cams. As on date, we have 180 plus cam units available in CKD condition, and these can be delivered off the shelf in a day or two to the customers. And in time to come, we'll be building more and more stock for these series of cams. One is this, and secondly, we have Maitri, I think one more bullet point is there. Secondly, we also have a double positive retainer for all these cams, so that even in case of failure of gas spring, retraction is there will be positive retraction of the slider. Yeah. Next. Yeah. The PDF information, the catalog information, as well as 3D data for these cans are available at fibro-india.com on our website homepage. Thank you. Next. Next, please. Well, that is what we have to share with you about cam units and the new. Yeah, okay. So, as like any other cam units, we also have online selection assistance for customer, using which customer can select the appropriate cam in a matter of less than a minute. Yeah. Here on the screen, you see the OEM approvals that we got for global range of Fibro cams, from BMW, Renault, Volvo, Volkswagen, and I'm happy to share that Tata Motors is one of our first customer to use the global DNA range of cam units, plus also the cams developed by Fibro India. Next one. So with this, I would like to thank you again for your time. We look forward to have a good panel discussion, and over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing the CAM unit's development journey with us and the technical brief. I would like to announce here that, as sir said, the detailed catalog as well as the 3D CAD data of the product is now available on our website, that is www.fibro-india.com. You can also explore the short details on the event page as well. Now, quickly moving on to the next part of the event, that is the panel discussion. Can we have the next slide? Okay, so this very interesting roundtable will help us to understand the future of Indian tooling industry from some of the ACE industry leaders' perspective. We'll be also focusing on how these business leaders look at the post-pandemic situation via lens of opportunity and have the strategies for better tomorrow. And we are happy to have these industry leaders on board today. So here joining us our PowerPath panel. To start with, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the session chair of the day, that is Mr. Vivek Naniwadekar, Executive Director, Fibro India. Over to you, sir. Can we have Vivek sir online?
Yeah, thank you, Anuradha. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir.
We
We
have,
look forward for the very, very interactive session with you all and some great insights coming from you. So, all the best and over to you,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, thank you, Anuradha. We have a very most appropriate subject for the panel discussions. And we would start our panel discussions on the very positive note that is just a couple of days back, IMF, India International Monetary Fund, has announced that Indian economy will bounce back with 8.8% in 2021, though it is in 2020 it is minus 10.8%. So this is a quite positive indication. So in fact, the 2018, if we take it as a reference year, and then 2019, also we started, the whole business started going down, the whole economy started going down. We anticipated that 2020 could be better, but due to COVID pandemic, it was very, what do you call it, was a jolt to the economy and the all businesses. The close down, global close down happened and the economy slide down. So now, having opened the activities in most of the places in India and abroad in a couple of months back, we see good movement in the market, and we hope. I mean, while talking to the lot of industry colleagues, they mentioned that that there could be that we could reach pre-COVID situation very quickly, maybe 3 to 6 months. Though the economist had mentioned that it would take a couple of years to reach the pre-COVID situation. So on this background, I would like to introduce our panelists. The first one, Mr. Mayank Verma. Mayank Verma, the business head and group engineering head of JBM Group. Leading the largest tooling business in India, JBM Group, wherein he drives complete group engineering functions, leading multiple tasks with core focus on business operations, auto components, project, strategy planning, engineering analysis, quality management, production and maintenance. Strategized and formed largest independent tooling business for India, grew number of plants from 5 to 9 with fourfold revenue generated under the joint venture, along with delivering one new greenfield project setup. They also commenced the export operations for tooling business from 2019 onwards, to specifically to Europe. I welcome Mr. Mayank Verma for these panel discussions. Next on the list, I would welcome Mr. Vinod Kumar, Executive Director of Prabha Industry. Graduated in engineering at Coimbatore and masters in US. He was in Detroit area for about 17 years, working for auto industry. He was associated with Daimler Chrysler and handled various prestigious projects, which includes launch of the PT Cruiser in Mexico and Austria, and product development for small Jeep platforms. In 2011, he joined Prabha Group full-time and started acting as working as an executive director, monitoring all new projects, activities, and administration of their die and press shops. Welcome, Mr. Vinod Kuber. The next one on the list is Mr. D.K. Sharma, Executive Vice President and Business Head, Godrej Tooling, and President of Tagma, India. Mr. D.K. Sharma has successfully taken up several leadership roles at Godrej across product categories and locations in India in career spanning of 36 years. Taking charge of Godrej Tooling in 2002, he successfully transformed the business from a captive tool room to one of the leaders in the country. Also being connected to TAGMA under his able leadership, TAGMA India has organized 4 editions of International Tooling Summit, India's premier congregation of tooling industry since 2016. He is also member of Alucast, AVI CII National Committee on Capital Goods and Engineering, and also on board of GDC Technology Forum. I welcome Mr. D.K. Sharma for these discussions. Next on the list is Mr. Ravindran, Head Tool Room, Caparo Engineering India Limited. Graduated with engineering followed by MTech MS, having 25 years extensive experience in tooling industry. He started career with Tata Motors, Jamshedpur for tool development and moved on to work with some of the top OEMs like Ford, Fiat, Daimler, Mahindra for tool development. He is now associated with Caparo as a general manager tool development. Welcome, Mr. Ravindran. The next on the list, Mr. Sachin Durve, business head, tool and die business at Reliable Autotech Private Limited, Pune. He started his career in Bajaj Auto, Pune as a trainee engineer in tool engineering department. Later, he moved to Mahindra & Mahindra, handling design and project management in their machine tool building division, Nasik. Since 2005 onwards, he is associated with Reliable Group. At Reliable, they have established branding as die import substitute solutions. His vast experience, about 34 years, strengthens their own business as well as contributes to Indian industry and economy as well. The last but not least, I welcome Mr. Yoshin Schaefer, Director, Business Area Standard Parts, Fibro, Germany. He is graduated in Industrial Engineering. Mr. Yoshin is associated with Laple and Fibro Group since 2005. Initially worked as a Director, Strategic Purchase for Fibro GmbH and now serving as a Director, Business Area Standard Parts since 2012. He is also acting as a Managing Director of Fibro Korea and Supervisor for Fibro Shanghai Precision Products Limited. Welcome, Mr. Yoshin Schaefer. I would like to you to give your comments after hearing the panel discussions on the Indian business and how Fibro Germany looks at India. Okay, so let us start the panel discussion. The subtopic of the for panel discussion is future of the Indian die and mold industry. Now, given with this background of IMF International Monetary Fund prediction, how I would like to know how the Indian tool and die industry can contribute to this growth. At the same time, our Prime Minister had declared during this lockdown period the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So how Indian tooling industry can play a role under the Atmanirbhar Bharat? What are the challenges for Indian tool rooms and how they can gear up for better tomorrow? I would like to first ask Mr. Mayank Verma to speak on this. This question is for all panelists. I would request Mayank Verma to give his views first.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Vivek, and thank you for inviting on this prestigious event of launch of Fibro. I'll just take 1 minute to comment on the Fibro association with us. Fibro has a long time association with us and has been a very active partner in our growth, both in terms of supply and services of technical support. And happy to share that whatever exports we are doing, we are using only Fibro products on all those dies which are being exported. And hats off to you and your team for such an active support and this great event. So all the best from my side to Fibro India. Coming to the topic of the day, the future of tooling industry, and as you rightly said, how we can benefit from this IMF focus and our Prime Minister focus on Atmanirbhar India. So, you know, Indian tooling industry for long has been somewhat marginalized as in under the onslaught of import toolings for long times to come. But during last for 5 to 7 years, many OEMs and as the capability have increased, many OEMs have taken up this task of localizing tooling. And at the same time, Indian tool rooms have also worked hard to raise the level both technically and resource-wise to come up to that level. So, in my perspective, Indian tooling industry it is at the cusp of a big breakthrough in terms of using this opportunity of focus on localization of tooling, as well as getting this benefit of Atmanirbhar India. And we already last 3-4 months we have had a ECMA meeting, we have a CI meeting, and almost every senior dignitary, right from Ayokawa-san to Dr. Pawan Goenka, everyone has spoken very highly and optimistically about localization tooling. And in fact, I would like to mention that tooling is one of the 5 key areas which CIAM has identified for localization, along with electrical components, EV components, steel. So that way, tooling has a great potential of being localized. That is one very clear potential going forward. The other thing is how to make it more fruitful and how to make it this transition faster. Only thing is we have to, both sides have to work together. So we are seeing a good initiative from OEM side, primarily customer side. At the same time, the tooling industry per se has to gear up in terms of 2 aspects. One is resources at par with the requirement of toolings, and secondly, the capability aspect. So there, the most focus is required in terms of maybe white collar entry level like GETs or entry level designers, as well as blue collar, where we have to use various government schemes like BTC or NAPS to take care of the entry level people, because it is people who eventually tooling is a highly technology oriented business. It is people who do it. Software and resources and machines can play their part. It's people and leadership who make. So we need to focus on technical capability, and we need to have good leaders in tooling industry who can take this forward. But I'm sure with this focus and with this government focus and Indian tooling industries resolve, I'm sure tooling industries would grow and would take benefit of this thing. I'm pretty hopeful on that. That's from my side. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayank Verma. Now I would go to Mr. Vinod Kuber. Could you please give your views on this?
Sure. I think simply put, how the tool rooms here can contribute would be through taking on the difficult projects, the challenging projects, if you will. A lot of dies like skin panels and certain other hot stamp, etc., are currently mostly imported, almost always. So the thing to do would be to attempt those. There are going to be a lot of challenges along the way, and knowingly enter these fields and try to solve problems and come out of them. The traditional challenges are, of course, going to be there, like you're managing your finances. For a small die shop like us, that can be a challenge. Managing timing in view of all the changes that are happening now, timings become even more critical. So all those traditional challenges are going to be there in a magnified manner. But how I would say we can contribute is by taking on the challenging projects.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kuber. Now I would go to Mr. D.K. Sharma. Could you please opine on this? Mr. D.K. Sharma, please.
You are very good morning to all of you. First of all, at the outset, Mr. Nanivadikar, let me congratulate you and the entire team at Fibro India for creating new milestones. I think every year you have been very aggressive in launching the projects. German technology, as I said, at Indian price or going global. So my heartiest congratulations to you. All the speakers, those who we heard just now, have all praises for you, and you rightly deserve so. So we need companies like Fibro and leadership like yours to keep entertaining the customers' queries proactively and rolling out new products, which is the need of the hour. Now, coming back to the future of tooling industry in India, I think we cannot but for remain positive. We were talking of adversities all the time. I am based out of Mumbai. You are in Pune. Mumbai is talk of the town, or rather talk of India. You know how we face adversities. So just to give you an example that we have no other option but to remain positive. I would give example of my own company. When the lockdown happened in the month of March, Government of India approached all people like us to contribute in whatever possible manner and rise to the occasion to, you know, face the adversities. So just to give an example, like we were approached to make ventilator valves, and fortunately we could mobilize resources from all over. No raw material supplier was available, people were not available, people have fled their places, they have moved out, but we could mobilize all the resources to start manufacturing valves for ventilators, and we could successfully supply 5,000 within a month. So that was one kind of landmark. The other was, as we all know, hospital beds were needed in very large numbers across the country. So in a similar manner, we mobilized, we opened our interior factory in Vikhroli and made thousands and thousands of hospital beds, and we could supply pan-India against those demands. So tool makers, as far as our role is concerned, we are tough people. Always, somebody said that we are always at the receiving end, but I think as far as future goes, there is a huge potential. As a president of the Toolmakers Association, I would say that though we are the mother industry and we need the right respect in terms of not only the money, the Indian OEMs have started looking at us very seriously, unlike in the past. One thing I would like to comment that the most advanced car making in countries also have most advanced tooling manufacturing also. But unfortunately, India is an exception. So looking to the future, though we have the potential, but I think we need to focus on this mother industry. There are many challenges, as I always say in all the forums, that ours is a knowledge, skill, and capital intensive industry. So as Mr. Kuber mentioned that, liquidity, he touched upon the liquidity part. I think that is one of the most challenging thing in these trying times. How do we reach out to each other? Particularly, I'm looking at OEMs, as Mayank mentioned that, we are participating in all the forums. Big brothers like Siam and ACMA, who are our major customers, they have to really come forward to support the small tool makers. One of the reasons why there is no billion-dollar tool rooms in India is precisely because, it becomes very, very difficult to manage these challenges which we face day in and day out. But the future looks bright. I think people like Fibro, who are all the time innovating and coming out with newer and newer products locally to help out the customers, big or small. I think this is the only way I would urge that, collaborative efforts will make the things easier for us. There is no dearth of business. We all know China's story. I think Mayank is the right person to answer because they patronize China in a big way. But we need to create that kind of an atmosphere and ecosystem to take this industry forward. We have a very bright future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Thank you for your inputs. Now, I would go to Mr. Ravindran, Kaparo Engineering India. Yes, Mr. Ravindran.
Sir, I just received the message that he has some connectivity issue. He is trying to join.
Okay, so we'll go ahead with Mr. Sachin Durve. Will you please give your views on this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nanevdekar, and thank you, Fibro team, first of all, for inviting me for this panel discussion. I'm really honored for this. Regarding Fibro India, there are no words for saying, because they started everything first, all these die components, everything first in India. So make in India and first in India. So both the lines are matching to this Fibro India. And now the topic of discussion right now is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And for that, using all these Fibro components in our dies, really that will be in a real sense. We are saying that we are making our Prime Minister's statement. We are taking that Prime Minister's statements as with a true manner. So, but actually, you know, in India and in our type of industries, our OEMs, they always get tempted for getting cheaper solutions from abroad, from the countries like China and Taiwan. And so we have really we have to struggle a lot to beat this pricing competition. And for that, first of all, what we have to see that we have to win the faith and trust from these Indian OEMs. And for that, we have to show them our quality level and how quality and durable products we make for them. And for that, then getting order because of Prime Minister's theme, and everybody is feeling to get it from India. So getting order will not be a problem for us. So in Indian tool industry, there will be definitely a bright future. But the biggest problem, as Mr. Vinod Kuber said, that financial problem, because this tool making cycle, right from concept design to final delivery to customer and actual productionizing the tool, it's a very big cycle. And for that, actual selling the tool and getting the final payment from our customers is a very big journey. So for that, managing the funds, really it makes very difficult for small tool rooms. Yes, Mr. Vinod Kuber said, but we can also say the same thing, that ours is a small tool room for if we see from that concept. So it's very difficult to manage the cash flow. But we have to see the schemes, government schemes, what are going on because of COVID situation, because of Atmanirbhar statements. Government has opened up the schemes and all these schemes. We have to be cautiously looking for that. And definitely the organizations like TAGMA, IMTMA, if we are in touch, if we were in touch with them, then everybody will get proper guidance and support for all these schemes, government schemes, and definitely we can make use of it. But what we have to see, and even the world is also looking towards us for getting quality product, because we Indians, we can give them the right quality in reasonable pricing. So that is the biggest advantage what we have. And of course, as Mr. Mayank said, that yes, Mayank and Mr. Vinod also said the same thing, that there is a biggest problem of white collar and blue collar people availability, trained people availability, but definitely the institutes like ITI, NTTF, ISTC, ICTR, or CITD from Hyderabad. So all these institutes definitely will help us to join us for this making our Prime Minister's statement Atmanirbhar Bharat uh, a successful. And I'm sure that we will get more and more business, and we will have a very bright future because of all these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durve, for your inputs. That is the common thread in all four of our in the panel discussion. Is the one is the finance, and second is the skilled manpower. I think for finance, government has declared some schemes which we are not aware of it, or we need more inputs onto that. That is the right point, what you have raised it. But this, the next question goes into the same line about the skilled manpower. See, now we are talking about a smart manufacturing, and smart manufacturing will come into the tooling manufacturing as well. So how do we get the skilled manpower for this smart manufacturing technology, and are our training institutes are geared up, and how they can further gear up to deliver skilled manpower to the industry? Yes, Durve, you can. We will start with you, and then we'll go back to that. Okay.
Yeah, smart factory is the really a new concept, and that means that everything should be digitized in our factory. So that we have to. That is, everybody is through their working, they are developing. Means, I can give you one example, that in our factory we are not to that extent what some developed countries are doing for this, but okay, we are trying for that. That everything is, we are trying to have digitized. Means, okay, right from program management, right from design, that anyway we are design and simulation, everything we do that way. But data transfer to our manufacturing, then making bill of material from design, then releasing through SAP to our customers, getting data from our customers through that platform. Then even our dies, if we see the die designs, we don't use printer here. Everything is given displayed on the monitors in the shop floor, and everybody refers to that. Then after completion, and now because of COVID, we can say that even our tools, when they are ready, tool buy-off is also conducted through all this digitized way. And of course, physical dispatch has to be done physically. But later on, if we see that there are various aspects in this digital yuga, we can say. And now there is industry 4.0. So everybody has to understand what is there in industry 4.0, what is the digital way, and how we can go smartly by opting a digital way. So all these things should be now when new people come in, when new join the organizations, they are required to take some of the book knowledge from the institutions, or some practical experience also from the institutions. They have to carry that. And I'm doubtful right now whether all the institutes are fully tuned to that and fully upgraded to that. But there is no option for this. They have to, and we also have to go with that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Durve. Yes, Mr. D.K. Sharma, could you please give your views on this? Please unmute your mic, Mr. Sharma. Yeah.
Thank you. I did mention in my earlier talk that skill is the most important for all of us in the tooling industry. So this pandemic has taught us new things. This digital, what we are talking about, I think it has become imperative. We need to move with time, and somehow all the operations which can be handled remotely, we should do that. I think tooling needs this to be made more and more efficient. We were very skeptical that how the designers could shift and start working from home. But I can say that it was a very pleasant surprise that we could mobilize our designers to work from home. There are mixed opinions about it. We are learning from that. Some of people want to be in touch and they want to be on the shop floor. But I think there are ways and means to rotate them and make them more efficient, taking care of the data security related issues if we work from home, because each and every OEM would like us to protect the data, so there are issues around that. The other is, as Mr. Durve mentioned about being paperless. Not many tool rooms, unfortunately, are paperless. We still believe in. So there is a huge opportunity to digitize all our processes. The use of 3D printing, the use of RPA technologies like RPA. In fact, some of the tool rooms are now making estimation process, even the die designs, where the repeated die designs with are made automatically, because like in our case, die casting dies are repeated in nature. So how these things can be developed and made automatic, we have been able to do it successfully. Not only that, the products, what we make, the tools, are also made smart now, to prevent the failures, to judge the scenario, what is happening in the tool. Lot of analytics and preemptive actions can be taken to enhance the life of the tool. So that's the digitization part. As far as the skill development is concerned, I think as somebody mentioned earlier, that we need to, respect the real brains who are retired, to keep them engaged. I wish them good health and let them continue to be invited by all of us to, teach their learnings. The other aspect is the institutes like ITIs and polytechnics, they teach only theory. So what Godrej has done is we invite hundreds of students. We are working with ITIs and we give them 6 months of training on the shop floor. So when they go back to finish their studies, they come out richer, and because they have already seen a factory environment. Now, once they come out of these institutes, they are ready to be employed by tool rooms and others. So that's a welcome move. I only say that we need to work collaboratively with each other and continue to conduct these webinars, what we have learned during this pandemic situation. The theoretical part can be taken care of virtually, like what we are meeting now. And the Gemba should be done by, retaining the teachers and making joint and collaborative efforts, both for blue and white collar jobs in tooling industry. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. This was a quite vital input, and what you said, that you have given the training to the ITI people in your tool room for 6 months. That is a very good initiative, I would say. Now, I would go to Mr. Kuber. What are your views on this?
Sure, I'll take it in a couple of parts. The first part of the skill gap, right? I can tell what we are doing, what it's evolved to. About 10 years ago, we were into taking on ACT apprentices and trying to tag him and with a view to develop him into die makers. But that's since evolved. Karnataka has this network of institutions called GTTC, Government Tool Room and Training Center. And there are many centers in various districts. So in the last, say, 7-8 years, what we've been able to do fairly okay is work with them, and Prabha Industries is often a destination for their final year in-plant training or internship. We take quite a few people in terms of size compared to our own company size. So they benefit and move on. And being one of its kind die shops, our work relates directly to their education. So we don't have a problem attracting those people for these short durations. However, out of these people, maybe we tag a few and some of them go on to work for us. So I would say that's how we bridge the skill gap. That's what we've been able to do. The second thing that you talked about was Industry 4.0, whether the various institutions are well prepared for it. I think the engineering colleges are definitely taking a lot of interest, and they're doing a lot of things. I can tell from my own very little experience. We put in a small IoT system in one of our machines, presses and stuff. And one of the colleges, JSS College in Bangalore that we work with, whenever you talk about these things, they're all about pushing their own students to get involved in such things. So I think there is tremendous interest in the institutions, and industry can benefit a lot from it. One more small point. I really think when I walk around my shop, I came in with the expectation to do a lot of cutting edge things, but I had to quickly scale back. Even the machines we bought that are capable of doing a lot of things, we had to be content with it doing only the very basic things, okay? So I'm really trying to do Industry 3.0 at this point, okay, in a more efficient manner. That's sort of our focus. Though we have bits and pieces of curiosity-related things that we've embarked on for 4.0.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kuber, for your views on this. Now let me go to Mr. Mayank Verma. Could you please throw some lights on this?
Right. I think many valuable points have been covered by other panelists. Only thing I would add is on the skill part, what we are trying to do here is we have our own skill development center where we take in 10th or 12th based local people, and then we train them in various trades, and then use them as inputs for all our plants. So that is something we are doing right now very extensively, and it can act as an input. Also, we are taking good advantage of the government schemes of like NAPS and BTC. There's an apprenticeship scheme. We are taking use of that. Apart from taking people from ITI, but as Mr. Sharma also rightly mentioned, this gap always remains. Schooling is largely a skill-based industry, and whatever numbers you can arrange, but it doesn't suffice for the level of skill you need. So you always need to have a combination of new versus old. And rightly, we are also taking advantage of people who have been retiring from OEMs and taking them on board as tooling is something which is age agnostic, I would say. And if people are willing to contribute, then we should use the experience because here as we say, the master concept works here, where one people can train 100 others. So that is also we are trying to use a combination of new and old. In terms of new technology, I would say Industry 4 is coming up very aggressively, and we have to be part of it. But yeah, we have to decide how much we want to use it. We should not. It should not be something as a punchline or as a fancy this thing. It has to add value to you. So in our case, we are trying to use it in our presses, in our CNC machines, whereas in how can machine give you the input and analyze you so that you can make them more productive. We are trying to do that. Also, partially AI also we are trying to use in terms of how to automate tie designs, how to predict the panel behavior or the component behavior more accurately, so that you move towards first time right. First time right practically never happens in tooling. You take time, always you take time. But yeah, you have to have an endeavor to move towards first time right. So that is also we are trying to use technology to that extent. But yeah, it is tough. And also, as been discussed, tooling is also highly capital intensive. Every software you buy, every machine you buy, it is highly capital intensive. And with the OEMs putting pressure on costing of tooling, so any tooling manager, any tool shop head, business head is working on a double-edged sword to either manage viability or to manage technology. So yeah, it's tough, but I think with going forward, we have to have balance and take full advantage of the technology, but viably. So that is from my side, Mr. Vivek.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Verma. I mean, this is a very good point came out from this panel discussion. I mean, that the senior people who have retired, that is the old and new technology, how we can blend it together to make use of maximum for the tooling industry. I believe recently the government has announced a new education policy, which would be, I mean, in place from 1922. And after that, if you give it 10 years, probably. So I hope those new education policy would deliver some skilled people. Maybe it will take another 8 to 10 years, so that the new people will start coming in. Till then, we have these the good suggestion. I mean, as Mr. Sharma said, knowledge, skills, and the capital. As Mr. Verma also says the same thing. So, if we can use this combination of the old and new, then that would really help to the industry. Now, looking at the time, I would go for the quick, small, last question. That is, everybody in automobile industry, everybody is talking about EV, electric vehicle. How will it affect the and mold industry in India or worldwide for that matter? Yes, Mr. Verma, I will start with you.
Yeah, very quickly, considering paucity of time, I'll respond. See, EV, with the advent of EV is only an addition to tooling industry. So I would say it's a welcome change as far as tooling industry is concerned. But yeah, on a holistic level, some commodities tooling may enhance, some commodities tooling may reduce. For example, powertrain is something which is with advent of EV, powertrain would become less relevant. So some kind of powertrain toolings may have to go for new ways of how to sustain. But at the same time, I would say the plastic and sheet metal is largely remains EV agnostic, and then they are only you're only adding to the domain of parts. If you talk about sheet metal, naturally, like battery box is something which is a very big commodity being added in front of EV. From sheet metal perspective, there is a big addition. The EV, the battery box technology, both in terms of robotics and both in terms of sheet metal tooling. So overall, EV would bring in a lot of positive change in tooling industry. But yes, especially from powertrain perspective, I do see some concern. So that the tooling industry focused on powertrain products need to reinvent or realign to take advantage of EV. This is very briefly from my take on EV.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's the right point, Mr. Verma. You mentioned it. Yes, Mr. Kuber. What do you want to say on this?
One thing I want to say is a few years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago, Tesla went and bought a die shop in Michigan. Tesla, the very advanced company, invested in a die shop, okay, far away from the West Coast where they are. The company used to be called Riviera Tool and Die. So when that happened, there was a lot of excitement, but the message was also clear. Even a die shop is going to have a role to play in this whole electrification, autonomy, and all that, right? So that's just on the one side, just a tidbit here. The other thing is, I think it's anybody's guess, agnostic to panels and stuff. The emphasis is obviously going to be for lightweighting in whatever manner, high tensile parts and light materials like aluminum, very, very rampant use of those things. So in India, we're really behind and we need to step up. Use of autoform tools, etc., are going to be like really, really essential. We rely on the previous gen die makers like Mr. Out. These are areas where they're not going to be able to help us. We're going to have to rely on virtual tools, computer tools a lot. So that's one way it's going to change in terms of electrification, what it does to a die shop. Those would be a couple of my points.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kuber. Yes, Mr. D.K. Sharma. Could you please throw your views on this?
Yeah, Mr. Nanavadikar, we have been discussing this subject in all the forums. I think 2 weeks back, we discussed a lot. I don't know what to say. So I feel, as far as India is concerned, all of us are, this is going to be continue. Okay, both the things will continue. Let's not panic as far as tooling industry is concerned. It will take a while and we should be watchful of what is going to happen, as Vinod mentioned, about the new technology. In fact, we are going to be on the positive side of it, learning new things about lightweighting and creating more and more technologies and working with the material to, but that I feel is a little distant future. Powertrains will coexist. Nothing is going to get wiped out in next 8 to 10 years. Let me tell you, this is my assessment, only time will tell, because 3 years have passed by having debates only about EV. So we are a large country. Even if we develop something, we are definitely going to serve the world also. But I think let's continue to keep an eye on what's happening in the world of EV. We have sufficient time. We should be very watchful of the technology and be a part of it. At the same time, continue to serve our IC engines, which is going to coexist for next few years. So I feel that even if all the stakeholders are pushing this agenda, primarily government, for obvious reasons, it's going to take time. I have heard all the leaders in the industry repeatedly, and all are of the same opinion that we will coexist for near future. And by the time I think we develop the technology, we will be fine and we can make a smooth transition to creating more opportunities for us when we look at EV. These are my views on EVs.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sharma. Yes, finally we go to Mr. Sachin Durve. What you have to say on this?
Yeah, regarding electric vehicles, means people around the globe, they are fully focusing on electric vehicles nowadays. And if we see, we have to see towards this as opportunity, because right now electric vehicle population, or if we see the growth from growth point of view, right now the production is about 3 million. But definitely by 2030, it will go to 125 million. That is the prediction. So it's a huge growth in electric vehicle, and of course, autonomous vehicle also we can say. So in that case, we should not be, we should not get afraid of what is going to happen with this stamping and sheet metal. No, everything will remain there. Okay, what is going to be replaced as some electronic items and some transmission, and then whatever is for IC engines it is required. So that is okay. That will be replaced. And okay, few heat shield parts, sheet metal parts. Okay, those will go. But definitely whatever upper body or outer panels, then high tensile parts, then lighter weight sheet metal parts, all will remain same, and it will go more and more different, further enhanced. So this stamping, die making industry will further grow, And as electric vehicle population will go high and high, people are motivated, will be motivated to buy more and more electric vehicle cars. So the total automotive number units will go up, and because of that, new requirement for automotive tool development will also go up and up. As I said, for regarding underbody parts, yes, regarding underbody parts, there will be a change because we have to accommodate battery packaging, then load structure. So all these things will get changed, but there will be some design change. But those underbody parts will also be there. Outer parts, as I said, those will also remain there. There will be huge change in parts like fender, doors, and other things because of autonomous vehicle trend, which is likely to come, and there will be some more and more sensors added onto those panels. So the part making will be rather slightly difficult because many features are to be adopted on those parts. So keeping eye on this market and towards OEM, we as a die manufacturer, we have to see this opportunity. We have to be in touch with latest technology, what is going for these modern trended parts manufacturing, and definitely will have bright future for this electric vehicle. We should not get afraid of this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Durve. I mean, in this summary, if I have to highlight some few points, that there is a growth potential for Indian tooling industry, and definitely it is poised to grow, I would say. But yes, there are challenges, as Mr. Sharma mentioned, that is a knowledge, skills, but capital. And for that, there are those challenges in Indian tooling industry, and we are willing to take up those challenges, and we are ready to take those challenges, certainly. And last but not least, the EV is not a threat for the tooling industry as such. Rather, it would throw some challenges, and that would be an opportunity to the tooling industry as an EV. Okay. With this, I mean, now I would come to Mr. Yoshin Schaefer, who has witnessed all the discussions, and I would request him, Mr. Schaefer, to throw your views in this discussion.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Yeah. First, thank you very much, because I think it's really important that in these hard times globally about the coronavirus, it's important that companies like Fibro India takes the opportunities to make these web conferences, because I think it is really important that the major players of this economy keep the contact and show their views and tell their views about the actual situation. I have to say that in general, I share the view of most of the people which I have heard now in the last hour. I have the possibility, because I act globally in all the major automotive markets in the world. My view is quite positive about the Indian tooling industry. This is why, let's say, actually, Fibro in India, India in general, is one of the biggest automotive companies in the world. So we have a lot of chances in India to grow the tooling industry, because I think it's a normal way that things are going, that after the automotive industry is localized, then the first step is that the tier one suppliers are localized in the next step. And this is what we have seen in the last decades, that all the big major tier one suppliers are now localized in India, and also local Indian tier one suppliers have grown and started their production. So at this very moment, this is what also my former speakers have said, is that most of the tools, or a lot of the tools which are used in the Indian automotive companies, are imported from countries like Korea, Taiwan, China, and also, of course, from Europe, Germany. especially when you think about skin panels, side panels, which are quite complex tools. But what I think what will happen is that in the next years, these tools will more and more produced here in India. This is the normal way the things are going. And so I think there's a big chance for the Indian tooling industry to grow because of this thing, because now the tools will produce in the future more and more in India. After this step has been done, there's another step which the Indian tooling industry can grow, because we have seen this also in the other tooling markets, is after the imports have stopped to a certain level. There will always be imports, but only up to a certain level. Then, and the quality and the capacities are built up in India, then I think India has the chance to become also a great player in the exporting tools to the global markets. So that's the next big step. Yeah? And then it's like Vivek Nanivadika told us some minutes ago, is that in India, we are expecting a GDP growth of approximately 8 to 9% in next year. And also, I think it will be about the same level in the year after the next year. So you have to add up all these three things. Yeah? The stop of the importing of tools, or the reduction of importing tools, the possibility to exporting tools in the next years, a good economic growth of the automobile industry here in India. And therefore, I think it's if you have some money, yeah, then investing it in the tooling industry here in India, it's always a good thing you can do. Yeah. So I really think that what the people have said in the former hour, if these jobs are done by the Indian tooling industry and by the major players of the tooling industry, then we have a great chance in the future. Yeah. And also, I think that when we think about electronical vehicles, I think it's exactly the same. Yeah, we're in a good position that the tools are not producing parts for the powertrain majorly. Yeah, I think you have to skin the panels. Yeah, and the sheet metal products will stay the same. So we have now a good chance to have a view on this new development and take care about it, that we will be prepared if the tooling industry, if there will be changes in the tooling industry. Thank you, Vivek.
Yeah, thank you, Schaefer, for your inputs. And we are also quite hopeful in India about the Indian tooling industry. We are not only for domestic, as our government has declared that India would be a global manufacturing hub, and tooling industry would certainly contribute to make the India as a global manufacturing hub. Okay, at the end, I would like to thank all the panelists for sparing their valuable time for these discussions and encouraging all the tooling industry community, or giving their confidence to look ahead with positive attitude. Thank you very much, Schaefer, for joining this panel discussions. Just wait for, I will hand it over back to Anuradha for concluding the whole session. Anuradha, could you please take it up? Yeah.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for, and big thank you to all our panelists, right from Mr. Mayank Verma, Mr. DK Sharma, Mr. Vinod Kuber, Mr. Sachin Durve. Unfortunately, Mr. Ravindran couldn't able to join us. And last but not least, Mr. Johan Schaefer. So a big thank you for sharing your insights with us. Now, taking this opportunity, we are opening a window for short Q&A session here. Queries related to the newly launched product or to the panelists available with us are welcome now. So from the delegates, if anybody has any queries, they can just unmute their mic and shoot the questions. Or they can just type in the chat box any queries if they have. Let's see if we have any queries. Okay. Uh, it seems we don't have a queries as of now, so we'll move to the root part of this event. But before moving to the root part of this event, we have got a couple of requests from the delegates available here. Unfortunately, due to technical glitch at the start, we couldn't able to play, or we couldn't able to give you the brief view about the product launch. So we'll be running this short videos again. We just need 5 minutes from all of you. We'll run the product launch video once again for you. Over to you, Ram sir. Number one first going on.
ठीक है हाँ आवाज नहीं आ रही अभी
during this lockdown period. I'm happy to share with you that more than 500 participants attended these webinars. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to participate in this webinar due to their routine works. During this webinar, we covered the whole range of Fibro products, which otherwise they were not aware of it. And as a result, we started getting inquiries for those products as well. We use this webinar to understand their requirements, their bottlenecks, and as a result, when we opened our operations in the month of May after the lockdown period, we worked on their requirement, and today I am happy to tell you that you will be witnessing the product launch of our new aerial cam unit. Before that, I would like to give you some glimpses of our manufacturing activity. Please do come with us. This is a good example of finding opportunity in adversity. In fact, a couple of years back, we started developing aerial cabinets for the Indian market. Today, I am proud to say that nobody is manufacturing those aerial cabinets indigenously. We are the only one to manufacture them. We started with a small, simple units. We got the feedback from the customers. Even we got the feedback from our principals. Accordingly, we went on modifying. And now in this last couple of years, our team has got the confidence from designing to the manufacturing of these cabinets. Despite this adverse situation and the lockdown conditions, apart from running the regular production, our team would develop and manufacture the new cam unit, which is not only for domestic market, but which will be also exported to the global market. I am happy to share that we will be launching this new aerial cam unit in the hands of Prabha Industries, Bangalore. This cam unit not only for the domestic market, but we will be also exporting globally.
to unveil the new series cam from Fibro. As expected, the cams are at desired quality level and finish. Very happy with the finish and look forward for the great performance from these cams. During my career, I had spent some time in a tool shop in Germany. I was amazed by the commitment to the quality and the punctuality. I adopt and implement some of the best practices which I have learned there. Today I feel happy. Fibro is expanding its product line by bringing these kind of products to India. Better quality and reliability. Differentiating factor is higher working force at 1 million strokes.
Over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope we have got the good glimpse, good view of the videos now. So, as we have started the Q&A session, we've got one query from Mr. Dilip Kumar Reddy asking why tooling cost is more in India when compared with China. So, this question is open to the panelists. May I request Vivek Naniwadekar sir to take this question ahead to the available panelists?
Mr. D.K. Sharma, would you like to take this question?
So
you unmute your mic.
We all discuss, we have always been discussing this question. Why in terms of speed and cost, we are not able to. I think the first and foremost point which is against or not in favor of us is the subsidies provided by the government over there in China. A lot of encouragement, a lot of financing help is being given by China, and that is how they have been able to develop the scale. Our scale is very, very small as compared to China. So what they have built a massive capacity, as Schaffler mentioned a while ago. So we need to focus on building up capacity, and that will only happen with the help of government. Government has to bring this industry to the fore and help out the talent, knowledge, and the skill what we are talking about. You know what, I always say that for tool makers, most of them, it is not a profession, it is a religion, it is a religion. It's a passion driven. So we fall short in mastering the finance part of it. So it is the job of the nation's government, it is the job of the policy makers, the lawmakers. You know what, there are duty structures which are not conducive, not only to import the hardware. The hardware attracts more duty as compared to the complete mold. Then there is raw material which is attracting very, very high duty structure. So all are odds against us when I compare myself with China. So where we can beat is, while the world has become favorite of China because of the cost reasons, we should leverage our speed part and avoid that shipment time of the tool from China to give as good an experience as somebody mentioned about being first time right. So I don't think it is fair to compare with China. It is a different ball game. If we were to get such type of support like what China gets, I can bet that we'll be far ahead of China. That much I can summarize. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sharma. Yes, Mr. Mayank Verma, would you like to add something on this?
No, I think Mr. Sharma covered this one big difference between China and India is the way government treats tooling industry. Not only tooling industry, every industry, heavy engineering industry. There are many industries in China where heavily subsidized and largely their fixed costs are covered, which has helped them to use their capital for scaling up, buying large CNC machines, buying huge factories, and then being able to meet the lead time as well as have a cost which is very competitive. But at the same time, China comes up with a lot of uncertainty. So not everything in China is cheap. Not everything in China can be trusted. So many people who have worked with China, they know it. It is not very easy and black and white to deal with China. Of course, you get benefits in terms of cost, but what you get in India is more trust and transparent. I believe execution. And of course, add to that the benefit of shipping time of 4 to 6 weeks. So with some amount of government support, Indian tooling industry can compete with China. This is my perception.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Verma. Anybody else would like to comment on that? Mr. Kuber, would you like to add something? Mr. Durve, would you like to add anything onto that?
Yeah, here I can tell you one thing, that I had gone twice to China and saw their tool rooms for this. So then one can easily realize that why they are cheaper than India or Indian tools, or why we are costlier than them. One thing is they get full funding from their China government. For infrastructure cost is very negligible for them. Their material cost, raw material, that is also, as compared to Indian market, it is cheaper over there. Then when they export tooling from China to countries like India and other countries, they get export benefit from their government, and which is not here in India. As they get export benefit from government, obviously some of their costing is absorbed into that. Low cost, low interest funding, because of that their financial expenses are lesser. Cheaper labor as compared to India, it is available over there. Regarding software, there are ample number of software usage over there. So that also adds to less iterations in the tools and reducing their cost. And the most but for us, as rightly Mr. D.K. Sharma and Mr. Mayank told, that we have upper hand over them is quality, then trustworthiness in our tooling, and life. As far as life is concerned, that durability is also there in our tooling. So with these advantages and strength factors, we can definitely beat the China market in tooling. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Durve. But recently, one thing I just want to reconfirm that in the last couple of years, or last few years, I have been hearing that the labor cost in China is going higher. Now it is higher than in India. Does anybody agree with me, or is it the reality? Now the labor cost in China is higher than India because of their one-child policy 20 years back and whatnot. There are more old people than the young people, and okay, what are the reasons? But is it true? Do you anybody agree with my statement? Yeah?
I think labor cost is higher in the cities like Shanghai and those bigger cities, but in other locations and at a lower level of working class, it is still, we can say, okay, their costs, labor costs are going up and up, but still they are at par with us, we can say, for that.
Okay, anybody would like to say on that?
I think that majorly the labor costs are in China are in most of the thing mainly more expensive than here in India. Absolutely. Yeah, because also when you see where is the tooling industry focused in China, they are changing this at the moment, but still it's in the area of the big cities like Shanghai. Yeah, this is where the tooling industry is localized at the moment. This is also because you need quality workers to build a tool. Yeah, not everybody can build a tool. You need high-skilled workers to do this, and you find these high-skilled workers in the area of the big cities in Shanghai. I think what the former speakers have said, the biggest difference in China and India is the investments which have been done in the tooling industry in the last 10 years. Yeah? And this is not because of the Indian tool shops. This is also because of as my former speakers have said, because of the help of the government. Yeah? We have the same situation here outside of Europe, that in Europe, that in the help from the governments for the tool shops, yeah, is not where they should normally be. Yeah, and here, let's say it like that, the Chinese government is doing a great job. Yeah, because they're pushing their economy. Yeah, and it's a little bit sorry that we don't get this help in the other countries like India. And if this changed, then we will have a good future. Yeah, if there will not be a change, then it will be tough in the next years.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for your inputs. Okay. With this, if Anuradha, if there is no more questions, you take it over, please.
Thank you so much for answering the question, sir. But we have one more question, and I think that is for Mr. D.K. Sharma. It is from Dilip Kumar Reddy again. The question is, what are the TAGMA efforts to convince Government of India to get intensives and support for tooling industries?
Yeah. So, Mr. Reddy, I think it is a tough question. It is a tough fight to the notice of the authorities. Our time has gone in the last few months vigorously being a part of every forum to make noise about tool makers condition, and due to this pandemic all the more. I only hope and pray that people in the government are taking a notice, but we'll have to piggyback on big brothers, as I mentioned earlier, Siam and ACMA, who sit in Delhi, and they have a better clout with the officials. Because, to be honest, Mr. Reddy, when we go and talk to them, it takes a huge efforts to make them explain what is a tool steel grade. They consider steel as steel, that's it. So while they are very knowledgeable IAS officers sitting at the top positions in the government, I think it's a tough fight, because I don't want to politicize here, but there are lobbies, working for their better cause, unfortunately. But then we need to, the fight is going to continue. We have approached the Department of Heavy Industries. We are a part of CII in every forum. These IS specifications being made mandatory for any type of steel to be transacted in the country. So we got with our efforts nearly 1,200 tons of steel getting exempted and coming into the country last month. But the relief is given only temporary. Once again, we will have to approach authorities to permanently abolish it. So there are many challenges. TAGMA's efforts will continue. And hope that everyone realizes if there are no tools made, there are no cars to be made. So we need to get our due respect. I think sooner or later this will get reinforced in the minds of the authorities, and we need to collaboratively and all of us must unite to take up this cause and take up this matter in every forum which is worth talking about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, thank you so much. So since we are running out of time over here, We will close this Q&A session, but we would like to tell you that we are available for you on a live chat on our website, that is www.fibro-india.com. You can also write to us at marketing@fibro-india.com. We are just also one call away from you, so we are there to find the right solution for you guys. Now, moving on to the root part of this event, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that we have got a bunch of super hardworking, super talented people who made this event possible for us today. So thank you to the whole Fibro India team, right from the management to the office staff to the worker team, who relentlessly worked during these difficult times and brought back the original business heads of Fibro India again. So thank you so much for your efforts. Also, warm regards and big thank yous to the panelists today for their gracious presence and sharing the insights with us. Special thanks to our digital media partner, Ramanora Global, for assisting us in executing our digital event so efficiently. Finally, thank you to all the delegates present here for being a great audience today. We had an excellent event with all of you. I'll just take a moment. At the end, I just want to thank all the panelists once again, on behalf of Mr. Vivek Nanivadekar, our Executive Director of Fibro India. So we had an excellent event with all of you and look forward to seeing you next time. This is Anuradha Bihade, Assistant Marketing Manager at Fibro India, signing out for the day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Anuradha. Thank you, Ram, and thank you, Mr. Nanivadekar, and all the very best to you from our side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next
Thank
time.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.